Good morning, everybody. It is 7:20 a.m. Bright and early. It's Tim and Shane Edwards is here. We're saying some words today about stuff. A Tidsoptimist? Is the S silent? Is
Tidsoptimist?
Tidsoptimist? I don't know. I guess the definition of that is somebody who is always late because they believe they have more time than they do. Is that somebody... Do you know anybody like that, Shane? I mean, do you know anybody that says they'll be there at like 5:30 in the morning and then they show up around 6:30?
6:37. Yeah, that's... yes, but it's more than that. I think it comes down to the point some people put a lot of value in time.
Okay.
When time is technically meaningless. I mean...
Well, but hold on. You got to think about other people, dude. Because that sounds like a really selfish... Because what about the other people who are waiting on you, and you're just like, well, time doesn't matter, so it's okay.
Well,
like, it seems really selfish.
You've got to be kind of aware. Like, you don't want to be an ass just to be an ass kind of thing, but if you're going to an appointment where the doctor's going to be there, being paid to be there, you want to be on time. You want to make sure you're on time. But
why? If time doesn't matter, then why?
Because time matters to the people who are paying the guy. Time matters to him because he's making money. I don't know why, because if you don't show up, he gets to go have a cup of coffee. But, you know.
Okay, so, I mean, it's an interesting concept, I guess. The idea that that time matters to a certain degree. Like time only matters in a certain confine, right? Like it only, like time for me matters if I'm paying somebody per hour.
Oh, yeah.
Because then it's coming out of my pocket, but then that's kind of selfish. But so it's like I'm being selfish by trying to make time matter to you. Because if time doesn't matter to you, and it matters to me, and I'm paying you per hour, then it's coming out of my wallet, and then I'm going to have to pay you, and I don't want to lose that money because I want to keep that money. So I'm going to be selfish and make you care about my time. I mean, it seems that could be a case that could be made. There's other cases that could be made.
On the part of if you're being paid to do something for a set amount of time, you need to do it in the set amount of time, because if you don't, that's theft. You're being paid to do something.
So you believe in time theft?
Yeah, I mean, well, no, it's not time theft, it's money theft.
Because Dwight in The Office believes in time theft. If anybody watches it, he goes around and polices everybody's time.
Oh, that's
and then it turns around on him because Jim, the guy
taking the time to go around.
Jim then takes the time around to go to prank him, and it's so funny. We're on a live broadcast. Moose is adding. He said it seems like time only matters when it's convenient for the person time is going in favor of. Time only matters to the employers or employed and other people trying to be productive. That's true. I mean, those are valid points, guys. But do we agree, Shane, that to a degree, to some, in some way, time is too important to the world? But also maybe not. I don't know.
Well, if you look at Japan. Japan has one of the highest suicide rates in the nation. Because in the world. Oh my God, I'm so tired.
Japan has the most in Japan.
In Japan,
but they have those nets around their businesses, right? Like
to keep people from trying
to jump off of the buildings.
Like they have set up where after work they still have an extra hour of work where they are paid to be there, but they go to a bar and get drunk as an office in order to kind of decompress from the day, because their days are so
packed and rigid and
every second is monitored down to the second. And
I know it's really terrible.
Kills people.
Man, it's really terrible to say this, but I have never had the opportunity to interact with somebody of Asian descent who is not squared away and amazing. Like all of the interactions I personally had, like, because when I was in the military, I had a guy. He was actually he was a corporal, and he was a platoon leader, and he was from Korea. His mom and dad were from Korea, and he grew up in the States. And he was the most squared away human being I've ever met in my whole life. And I often would ask. I mean, everybody would joke. I mean, I was in the infantry, so I mean, every joke was no.
There was called him calculator. I mean,
there was no social norm. Like political correctness went out the window. It was like, you're You're with a bunch of grunts and you're just going to say whatever. So everybody would joke with him about, you're Asian, so you must be smart. And like and then when he would get something right, everybody would be like, oh, that's just because you're Asian, Like, that's terrible. That's not nice.
And
but
then if he messed up, you'd be like, you're Asian. What did you do?
Yeah, you're supposed to not get it wrong.
Asian was the answer for everything.
And it's,
I had a guy like that, too.
But, and it was really terrible that we stereotyped him that way, but it wasn't because he enjoyed it. And his last name was
malicious.
His first name was F-O-R-E, and his last name was Chan. 4chan. Okay? His name was Corporal Chan.
Corporal Chan.
And I'm telling you, this guy, he had a very, very thick accent. And so we had a guy named Stevens in our unit, and Stevens was our gunner. And so I remember to this day, I'll never forget the phrase. We'd be cruising on a patrol, and he'd go, "Scan your sector, Stevens." And he had a real bad lisp, and he'd go, "Scan your sector." And Stevens would go, "Come on, Chan." Corporal Chan. You call me Corporal Chan. And he would go, "Dude, dude, you don't call me dude, you call me Corporal Chan." And he he had a very thick accent, but he would smoke you, man. He would not let up until the walls were sweating. Like when we would have a smoke session, we would hope that the first sergeant or somebody else came in, because if it was him, because he didn't give a crap. He was so close to private. He's like, "Look, dude, this is the first leadership I've ever been given. I'm going to smoke you until I feel better about all the times I've been smoked for no reason." That's exactly what he would do.
Yeah. Oh, there's always one.
There's always one. So I don't know why we're talking about this. We're talking about time. Oh, time in China. How these Japan, excuse me. How a lot of these people are working too hard. So I say that to say,
Korean guy has a lot to do.
A lot of those folks are really terribly dedicated people, right? Like they are historically proven to be
culturally, they're completely driven.
They're amazing, yeah. Culturally,
failure is never an option. Culturally,
like they're like 5 years old, waking up to learn the violin and Mandarin and Japanese and English and it's amazing. Why do you think that is as a culture? Why do you think that is versus? Because clearly they view time differently than we do.
Well, because they put the culture, for whatever reason, put value and it goes back to being bring shame to your family. Everything was about you don't bring shame to your family. You need to honor your family. And over the years, it has warped into you must be the best at everything
It seems like really communist.
Yeah.
Like you have to be good for the party. Which, I want to be clear. I was talking to my wife the other day about this very subject, about how, if you aren't good in public school, then you won't do good in college school. If you don't do good in college school, you won't have a good job. If you don't have a good job, you can't have good insurance. If you don't have good insurance, you can't take care of yourself when you're sick. If you can't take care of yourself when you're sick, you'll have to go on unemployment. If you go on unemployment, it's like that's the pattern of thinking in America. Is that not? That's bad.
As soon as you started school, they started talking to you about going to college. I mean, I was homeschooled up through freshman year of high school, so I mean, I had a little bit differently, but even so, there was never even a thought that once you graduated high school, you wouldn't go to college. Like, that was understood. That was good. They had appointments set up with guidance counselors from freshman year to go speak to a guidance counselor because you were going to go to college.
And why is that not balked at? Why is it that nobody says, why is it that the person that says, I would like to go buy 5 acres cash and live on that 5 acres? Why is that person he's so inventive? Ooh, like right now it's such a cool thing for hipsters to get hobby farms.
Fad, yeah.
It's a fad, exactly. It's just like, let's go have I had an urban homestead. I mean, I had an urban farm. I mean, we provided for ourselves with that farm for a while, and it was really great. We want one. We were talking about it though. We were like, why in the world would we think it's weird to want to provide eggs for ourselves? Like the other day I went to the store and bought eggs and I felt like I was giving in somehow. Like some part of my soul was being pulled out because I know that what I used to do was walk in the backyard with my 3 daughters at the time, 4 daughters, and get the eggs. But now I have to go to the store and give up money that I have to figure out where it comes from. It's like, if I could eliminate the need for money, I could eliminate a lot of stress and troubles, right? It seems that way. Doesn't it seem like there's a relationship between money and time?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a catch-all phrase, time is money, and money is time.
Right, that's true.
I mean,
I didn't even think of that.
I mean, I don't know, I have a hard time, because I think our culture is so developed and focused on money and what money buys, versus they don't see that when you go to out to eat, you just handed over 2.5 hours worth of labor to buy a meal that lasts 45 minutes.
Wow.
They just see, oh, here's paper money. This money is just paper. They don't see the time that goes into earning that.
That's because there's no monetary value in money at all.
It's paper.
There's no backing,
It's
and
cloth.
so there's nothing to it. It's just paper.
It's cloth paper. That's all it is. It has no intrinsic value. It's just the value that we psychologically have given it.
So why do you think that it is that the person that wants to go and live in the middle of nowhere and build a homestead for his family is the maniac and the lunatic?
Because it's been ingrained in us since the day we were born that in order to be happy, you must buy things. And to buy things, you must buy what you were told to buy through advertising, through what you're taught is what's right, what's good, what's bad, and if you look at people, I was talking to my wife the other day about, certain members of her family, they place high value in name brands. They would rather spend $50 for a name brand shirt than $20 for the exact same shirt off-brand.
Why?
Because they think that because it costs more, it means it must be better. It has to be
Do you
better.
think that there's people that actually believe that?
Oh, absolutely.
No, dude.
Hell yeah. I've actually, in psychology, we were talking about business psychology, and there's actually a whole, I can't remember the top of my head what it's called, but there's a whole section of it where they will literally increase prices on certain products in order for, because people automatically think that because it costs more, it must be better.
Do you think that's still something that happens today?
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
do you think it's becoming more prevalent, or it's been around forever, or increasing, or what?
It's increasing with just because of how our society has become so wrapped around materialism and materialistic goods and placing value in that. Like Cabela's, their clothing brand products are marked up over 300%.
What?
They're over 300% markup.
What proof do you have for that, dude? Because that seems
when
crazy.
I worked there for almost 2 years.
Oh man.
And we were told from the get-go, like, you could get on, like, for example, even right now, since Bass Pro bought them out, there's across-the-board discount for employees of Bass Pro and Cabela's at each other's stores or in their own stores, where they get 45% off any of their brand products. Any Cabela's brand product, any Bass Pro brand product. They get 45% off the top. And they're still making bank with that. I mean, they're not losing money because employees are purchasing stuff.
True.
I mean,
money has no value outside of what we put on it. And so, okay, but hold on.
Up by the government anymore.
Here's the problem I have with this discussion. Truth be told, okay? There are people out there who can't pay their bills, Shane.
Yep.
So this conversation can seem really condescending. This conversation can seem really offensive. It seems really easy for somebody with what I have and the blessings that I've been given. It seems really easy for me to say money doesn't really matter.
Well,
Do what you want, love you, but money doesn't really matter, blah, blah, blah. It's easy for me to say that, right? But I have, my bills are paid right now and other people's aren't. So what about those people? What do we do about problems like that?
Well, I've been that person. Like, I've been where I didn't have money to pay my bills. I didn't know how I was going to pay my electric bill to keep the lights on.
Right.
I didn't know if I was going to make rent that month. I have been there. And
Okay.
I mean, I'm just like, I'm barely cresting over that edge. Honestly, like, I'm barely cresting over where on the first, I know all my bills are paid and that it's going to be all right.
Hey, I want to digress here for just a minute.
Migration.
There's like a migration of birds. I'm fairly certain.
Snow geese.
Are they snow geese?
Yep, snow geese.
Probably, it's safe to say millions, right over Fremont. Probably millions of birds. It's wild. Have you guys ever seen that movie, Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds? It's sort of like that, except for millions of snow geese a few hundred feet above us. All over. Like, there's thousands of V's across the sky right now. I'm sure if you go to Twitter, somebody's probably tweeted about it like they shouldn't. So I digress from that to this. Money really does matter to some things, to some people in certain aspects. So what if we were to be able to create an environment where veterans and people would no longer have to live by the confines of what normal, like what normal communication with money, like the normal relationship with money is, it matters, I have to work to get it, here I go to work. And if I want to make more money, I have to go to more school to get better money. If I want better things, I have to make more money, which means I have to go to more school.
Well, I mean, hippie communes and stuff. And
with the what?
The hippie communes. Remember back in
Why do you say hippie in such a pejorative way? I mean, what's wrong with a hippie?
I didn't say it in a pejorative way in the slightest. I mean, that probably a year ago, I would have. I mean,
you would have probably said hippie like throwing a baseball at someone's head.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was a lot of issues with the hippie movement. There was. Okay. I mean, there really was.
Okay.
I mean, but, however, they tried that, and
they tried what?
Tried to basically break down the system and live in communes, etc., where money had no value. They bartered and traded for anything they needed within the self-contained environment, and the government didn't take too kindly to it at all.
What do you mean? What happened?
Raid them and shut them down. They banned the substances without any medical backing to the ban. They banned them just because these people were using the substances, and they believed that it gave those people the ability to think for themselves and free think. I think that's the actual term. It's called free think. Where you think. Well, I think that's
an Orwellian. Like from 1984. Have you read that?
Yeah, I've read that.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, you should all read that. By the way, George Orwell, 1984. It's an amazing book, and he basically talks about double speak, double think, double plus good, double negative bad. You know, like the idea was that you would cultivate an environment, that the government would intentionally cultivate an environment of fear, trepidation, anger, emotion, fueled by political positions, jostling back and forth between emotional and political and emotional and political and back and forth. That's where we're at right now, bro.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Dude, right now I posted a video from my buddy. We were just talking about this a minute ago off air. I posted a video about guns and people lost their friggin' mind, bro. It's still like 130 comments. All about how the conversation went everywhere, Shane. It got, I mean, that thread, you guys.
I think half of those comments were me and that idiot.
Hey. Keep your opinions on your thread.
Yeah, I think it's half of me and that one guy, man.
No, but like.
And I was half of it, I was just messing with him because
Because you're just bored at home on your phone.
I'm just gonna ruin this guy's day. Like.
So the fact is, for some people, money is a thing. For some people, money really is a problem. For some people, money is every problem. I can tell you right now, if you handed me a bucket of 20 grand, it would change my situation dramatically.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, honestly, in our modern day society, you cannot get by without money. I mean, you cannot. I mean, it's just...
Can you? Is that really true, though?
Well, I mean,
like, if I'm sitting...
Done everything they can to make sure you can't. They've banned collecting rainwater. If you're not connected to the gas line or the water line, they take your kids away. I mean, they do everything they can.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So you're saying that
if you live off the grid, they will try to take your kids away.
Okay. And that's bad. Like if you're not providing for your family and you're hurting your kids.
Oh, man, was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago? They had a thing where a family, they had solar power, they had a well, and I can't remember what the other one, but they lived in basically they were like lean-tos from what they used to live on the prairie when they were first coming over, and they came in. They had like 6, 7 kids, I think, or maybe 8, and they came in and raided the home and took their kids away, and it was a legal battle for years for the parents to get them back. because the state didn't agree with how they were raising their kids off the grid and not requiring that the kids wear shoes and letting the kids roam there. I think they had like freaking 50 acres or some crap, and the kids were running all over every part of it, playing and doing whatever, and they were homeschooling them. The state had a problem with it, and they took them away, and it was a legal battle for years. I never remember what happened.
So you think those kinds of situations, do you think that, I mean, obviously you would think we would say the state is wrong there, and we would say we're not in support of what the state did there, but what about families who legitimately do harm kids? Don't we need Child Protective Services to protect those children?
Absolutely. But
so then how do we draw the line?
They have too much, it's autonomy, is that the term I want to look?
Autonomy?
Use? Yeah, they have almost literal legislation or any people watching them to make sure they're not just throwing their weight around and screwing people just for the sake of being assholes. Like,
so you're saying there's no checks and balances?
If there is, there's not near a frickin' enough. Okay. Not even close. Because I mean, they can come in right now. They could, while I'm gone here fishing or whatever, they could come in and knock my door now and take all my kids, and I would have really no recourse but to show up in court and be like, what the hell? And
that's wrong. I mean, that's terrible.
There's no due process. They just take them. Who knows where they'd stick them? Hopefully they'd stick them with a relative, but if my relative can't take them, here.
Yeah.
They would just stick them with some rando, and it's already been proven that their ability to monitor who's fostering children is severely lacking, considering the number of kids that are abused in foster homes, the number of kids who've been murdered in foster homes. I mean, it's insanity.
It is. It's disgusting, and it's a hard situation because what do you do, man? Like, I'm outraged, but what does that look like? What do I friggin' do with that outrage when I see kids being mistreated, but I also see other innocent families being mistreated? Like, I've heard of stories of where families were drinking raw milk and in Pennsylvania, and because they were drinking this raw milk and giving it out to other families, it was helping them. And there was also like raw goat milk too that was helping their kid. They basically came in and they treated them like felons, and they put them in hand zip ties, and they shut down their dairy operation. It was a whole thing.
I remember about that.
It was a whole thing. It was gross. It was gross. And it was in Pharmacopoeia was the film I think I was watching it in, but it was basically it was a documentary on Netflix talking about the over farming, commercial farming. It's just disgusting. It's just really disgusting. So what we're basically saying is I think I want to start a farm, and I think I want it to have a family cow and some chickens. And I think I want at least an acre, just one, maybe two.
Have a cow, you need like at least two.
No, you don't need it. A family cow?
You have like an acre and a half per cow.
Okay, well, we'll get that. And I mean, we know how to do it in a backyard. We had 20 some odd chickens and quail and rabbits and water.
Rabbits, you don't need any space.
Those are easy. And then we have a lasagna garden, do some square foot gardening. Get some aquaponics going. Grow vegetables year-round inside, of course,
Oh, yeah.
Collect rainwater, do solar panels. Those are all good things. Those are all things that are reasonable and good that we should be striving for, we should be looking for. Not because we're like hippies or weirdos, but because we recognize that money doesn't have the backing and value that it used to.
Well, what our society has come to, the very people that literally built the country from the East Coast back would be considered freaking hippies or outcasts or disgusting humans today.
The very people that that rebelled against England were rebels. They were outliers. They were the ones who were doing it against the grain. But I know they weren't doing it against the grain for the sake of going against the grain. They were going against the grain.
The grain was wrong.
Because the grain was wrong.
The grain was wrong.
Because people, yeah.
But I mean,
People were being tyrannized. That's why.
Well, there's a difference they did and what a lot of these rebellious, like Antifa, etc., are today. The people back then, they did what they were going to do, and they took the lumps for it, knowing full well that doing what they were going to do was going to get them those lumps. They didn't scream, cry, blame everybody because they were in trouble for what they wanted to do. No, they did what they were going to do, knowing it would get them in trouble. So when they got in trouble, they didn't blame anybody else because they got in trouble. I mean,
they just did what they needed to do and took the beating. Like the colonial settlers and these people were fighting against everything. And you know what, I look at, like I was talking to my wife about natural medicine and about these Peruvian cultures some of these people have been taking some of these natural psychedelic medicines for centuries. And they'll go to battle with another tribe. They'll go to war. Their warriors will come back all messed up with PTSD. They take them into a tent. They give them this medicine, and then they're better. And how is it that a tribe can function that way with no overdoses? With no trackable overdoses or deaths? How can that happen? How can they live that way and no teen usage of ayahuasca that we know of, right? Like in these tribes, there's no epidemic of recreational ayahuasca usage among Peruvian teens.
What
I've never read about it.
There's no
I don't know.
use.
Yeah, I don't know much about, but I'm just giving that as an example, okay?
Yeah, well,
like when you have, I mean, I'm not saying there's not people up there munching on cocoa leaves getting high.
Well, I'm not. That everywhere.
I'm not saying they're not doing it. I'm saying
it's natural.
When you demonize something in a culture, or when you glorify something in a culture, deify it, right? Make it godlike. But the response is going to be the same. You say this is really bad, nobody do it. There's going to be people running to it. You say this is perfect and you should run to it. There's going to be people that are going to hate it just because everybody said it's perfect. So you have these people that are like these iconoclast, like separatists, who are going to naturally do that. But I'm not so much talking about them as I am talking about the people who say, I want 2 acres and a cow and some chickens with my family, and I don't want any money. Like, I don't want any money. I just want an acreage with a farm with my family.
Self-sustaining.
Because look, if I need money, you give me those things, I'll give you money. Why? Because everybody wants eggs. And I can grow really good organic free-range eggs. And everybody wants chickens. You give me chickens, I can make more chickens. And I can sell and raise really good organic butchered chickens. Rabbits, everybody wants rabbit meat. They just don't know it yet. It's really good.
Rabbit's so good.
Dude, yeah. Oh, man.
Oh, wild rabbits.
Slow roasted Hafenpfeffer with garlic and lemon butter, dude. It's really
with
good.
a little bit of wild turkey whiskey in the crock pot with potatoes, carrots, and onions, and lots of garlic. Oh,
good stuff. My wife made rabbit stock one time. She made quail stock. It's so good. So good. So the moral of the story is money, money can come to you if you need it, right? Like I bought this van I'm driving in for $900 2.5 years ago off of Craigslist. And it's now, it has profited me because I used it to drive from here to the farm and back.
Yeah.
It's profited me at least $3,000. At a minimum, it's profited me that. And I spent $900. So it is, and I've probably put maybe another $400 or $500 in repairs in it over time. But that's a crazy idea. That you could go and spend, now if I would have taken $3,400, so $3,400 and went and bought a decent, reasonable van that didn't smell like milk farts or have a light hanging out or need duct tape on the window, you know what I mean? Maybe things would have been a little bit more comfortable. But
where's comfort? It's a state of mind.
Comfort is a state of mind, Shane. I tell you, I'm just as comfortable sitting in this car as I am sitting in a luxury SUV right now, at this moment. Driving, it's a little bit different. Because it kind of drives like an old van, but, you know. Anyway, I'm going to log off and go get some work. I got an appointment to run to. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Visit timothylocklear.com for an archive of old podcasts. Not because I'm important or awesome, but because we want to help people. And we talk about things that hopefully help people. We've heard from listeners back to back that they really found it to be beneficial, and that some of the data we've been able to communicate, thankfully, has helped some people. And that's really where it's at. It's about being humble. It's about being contrite and low, and just being humble, and just knowing that if people are going to be interested in what we're doing, they're going to be interested. And if they're not, they're not. And we're not going to try to placate to those things. We're not going to try to pander. We're just going to try to keep saying consistent good things. So check it out. Also, my dog's amazing. He's more cool than me. Dogs don't talk, just so you know. So if you see a dog in public, and you want to go, ooh puppy, oh hi puppy, don't, because they don't speak, and the handler probably isn't interested in chatting with you about their dog. And if they are, they'll tell you. Please visit boristheservicedog.com for more information. Last but not least, I do some work with an amazing nonprofit organization that up here coming up soon, Shane, is going to be hopefully hosting an event in Colorado that I'm hoping some of us will be able to go to. It's pretty amazing, doing some research study about natural medicines and its interactions with the body and PTSD. So just hopefully going to have the opportunity to take part in that. Visit veteransfornaturalrights.org or check them out on Facebook. It's pretty amazing. Got a bunch of stuff to say, a bunch of good things to listen to. Again, this isn't about promoting a brand or promoting me. It's more about promoting an idea. The idea is that veterans matter. Veterans matter a lot. And they have impacts on our community and on our world overall, and so we've got to learn to treat them better. And if we don't treat them better, what does that say about us as a culture? We send people to war, but then when they come back, we don't treat them ways that are consistent with gratefulness and thankfulness. So that's what we're trying to say. That's what we're trying to do. I love my homies and my brothers, and I've watched them die left and right to me in combat, and now I'm coming home and watching them die left and right to me because they're swallowing pills and drinking booze and killing themselves because they feel hopeless and helpless. And we're trying to give them some hope. We're trying to give them some help. We're trying to give them some dogs. We're trying to give them some natural medicine. And we're trying to give them some love. So check it out, guys. You're awesome. Thank you so much. Please, please, please check out those links.